Hello, everybody. Welcome to our conversation about building a resilient staking ecosystem. My name is Benedikt, as introduced by Adam. And for this conversation, I'm joined by three people who would know what this means to build and launch a resilient staking ecosystem. Thank you, Jannik. I think you introduced yourself in the previous conversation already. And we have Yair from Lava and Natan from Starkware to join us and talk about staking, what it means to them, and about launching it. But before we get started, Yair, let's start with you. What is Lava to begin with, high level, and what mission does it have?
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here. First of all, my name is Yair Cleper. I'm not within Foundation, I'm with Magma Devs, and I'm a contributor at Lava Network. Lava mission is very simple. It's to give access to wallets, dApps, AI agents, and users to blockchains. In general, we set our goal because we personally are developers ourselves, and we've seen that getting access to different chains, meaning running nodes, right? And who is here running a node? We have a few, right? But it doesn't make sense when we want scalable infrastructure. So anyway, I will dive into that during our conversation, but in different, we give today access to more than 50 chains and close collaborator with Starknet.
Thank you, Yair. Natan, tell us about Starknet. What is this mission?
So Starknet's mission is to scale blockchain in general. So we were focused on Ethereum. Now we're deep in research in Bitcoin scaling. But generally, we want to scale blockchain. And one of the underlying frictions in blockchain scale is re-execution. So everybody is running a full node. Their full node is re-executing transactions over and over again. And we're using Stark proofs to actually amortize this friction and basically making the full nodes you own, or specifically on Starknet full nodes, just verify proofs which are exponentially faster than re-executing blocks.
Well, thanks for the high-level introduction. Now let's dive a little bit deeper into the particulars. Let's talk about a resilient staking ecosystem. In order to do so, let's focus first on staking. What does staking mean to your respective chains, so to say? Yair, let's start with you.
Yeah, definitely. So I think staking in general is helping to secure the chains. And one of the more important stuff when we started building Lava is how do we coordinate traffic, routing traffic across different chains. And we use staking not only for validators at the end of the day to secure the network, but the idea behind Lava is to aggregate all the node runners out there. It doesn't matter if it's Alchemy, Chainstack, BlockDemon, such a reputable providers, but also a community, a small community node runners that nobody heard of. They are in the weeds of every chain. So we wanted to help them monetize the infrastructure that already they have in the day-to-day. They're running nodes, right? But at the end of the day, the foundation want to make sure that this piece, public RPC, is reliable and access for all the dApps. So the second innovation that I'm really proud of in Lava is that each provider has to stake Lava also. And by doing that, they are kind of contributing to the accountability of the chain. If now I'm a provider and I want to give service to a dApp, when I'm staking, I'm providing accountability for the service I give. And the higher the stake, the higher the chance for a provider to receive service. So this is why it's super foundational in Lava, the staking mechanism. Validators, providers, and anyone else that we're going to elaborate in a bit.
This made it actually quite interesting to build the staking front end, because if you remember, it was you asked us back then, and we said, okay, we're gonna solve that. Relax, sit down. we're gonna integrate this validator and provider separation, because as I remember, no one actually did that. We are still the only one who has a front end for any Lava staker to build that. So that was something on our side that was quite tricky. It was a bit time constrained, but I think we put a quite nice staking interface for it.
The proof is in the pudding, I'm always saying. And at the end of the day, many people in crypto building a lot of solutions that nobody uses at the end of the day. And some problem is that there is no demand for that, but other time is that it's really hard, the UX and UI, to get the access and to give the access to the end users. And I think with you guys and Benedikt and all the very good engineering team, you help simplify the way of, and what is the mission, right? Because today everyone knows, okay, I'm a delegator, so I'm staking for a validator. But in Lava, we have the restake feature. So every delegator can restake to a particular provider in order to increase the chance for them to receive service, but they also participate in the rewards for doing that. And you really help simplify the process and bring it to the end user. When we launched that at the beginning, I think there were a handful of users, especially on the staking rewards platform, that was restaking. But after our mutual work, which was kind of quick, I would say, we got to thousands of different users already restaking in the platform.
Yeah, and it's quite tough to educate the user to also say, what is this restaking actually? Because like initially people came and they just clicked the button, I want to stake my Lava. And then like it took a bit of time when we actually saw, okay, now people are actually restaking their positions, since they were initially distributed, I think, to no underlying provider. So they actually had to move it away, which is a new primitive that was introduced. That was a very nice way to basically see, okay, the user experience on our side basically helps to leverage what you have been building.
Yeah, and everything, all the stats behind APY, right? Well, what is APY when you stake and then restake? All this kind of calculation that at the end of the day, the user has to know, you made it accessible.
Yeah, this was definitely a very innovative system, and we get into the challenges of this also. But first of all, Natan, tell us about the role of staking for Starknet.
So the role of staking for Starknet is, I would say, rather straightforward. We aim to be a proof-of-stake network. As all of layer 2s, we started as fully centralized, only a validity rollup, approving all of our transactions. And during this process, we want to change or move towards a different consensus protocol. This must be done in incremental steps. You cannot one day flick a switch and make the network depend on validators you never met. So we opt for an incremental path of allocating a lot of different validators from a lot of different communities. Yeah, so staking to that extent is in the core of Starknet's not only present but future. We are moving more and more towards decentralization.
When we talk about the move from the present to the future, it's probably a good start for us to talk about challenges. Famously, you are a layer 2 to Ethereum, and your token started out on Ethereum. Was this one of the challenges on this path to a layer 2 consensus?
So as a layer 2, we were the first to actually introduce staking and doing it in a way that is entirely on L2. This novelty gave us a lot of advantages, but it has some drawbacks. So one of them is the huge amount of TVL that are currently on L1. And making sure the user is easily bridging this TVL and staking it, which is not trivial user journey, basically. It's not just one click in most cases. So amongst a lot of challenges, this is one of them. I want to highlight that the key challenge was transitioning between two consensus protocols, and our decision to do it in incremental steps meant we are going to be surprised. And this is okay. Like we really wanted to hit the market, find out what we are not understanding well and fix it. And this is why we're already, in 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to launch our second phase of staking, because we learned so much from the first stage. We're going to correct some stuff. We're going to even have more initiative with staking rewards. So our meta idea was to do it in incremental steps and learn from each of them. And we accomplished it, specifically around the TVL issue. Yeah, not enough of it. Or amongst our KPIs, our short-term KPIs were met, but our long-term KPIs were not met. And now we're tackling this issue of finding a way to have a better UX for users to bridge their funds and stake them easily. And I'm really happy to have, I know it's their summit, but I really have, it's so fun to work with dedicated UI teams that are just, I know, quick. Super important to be quick and professional. So that's.
I think that's quite an interesting thing that you're saying. Okay, this the bridging from layer 1 from Ethereum to Starknet like had a bit of a challenges. And we also saw that, right? Because we are the first one, and I think actually also the only ones who have this feature on our stake app. So you can basically have a two-sided staking process. So you first sign a bridge transaction, and then you sign a staking transaction on Starknet. But actually, a bit earlier in the process, I want to ask, is not being EVM compatible part of this problem? Because I'm not free from that. Like when we approached, like very first time, I was thinking Starknet is EVM, and obviously I figured out it's not. But yeah, like educating the user and basically saying, hey, what are you actually using here? Is that something that you struggled with?
So I think it's the solution. You already jumped to kind of a suggested solution, which is user education. I think user education can be a good solution, but it takes time and a lot of effort. And I'm not sure this is the most efficient way we currently want to go. We want to go is to simplify things for the user. And we are thinking of a flow that would actually mean users would bridge and stake on one click on the L1 directly. They'll bridge their funds, they'll control them on the L2, but via like a remote controller on L1, and this would be abstracted from the user. I personally think that a user journey that is simpler and more understandable is better than educating the user a lot of times. So that's to your last question, but the non-EVM compatibility, that's funny you were saying it, but maybe it's not for this panel, but I want to hear your feedback about it afterwards.
Definitely. Yeah, I think educating and building a good UX is like, it's very close, right? So one click stake is like, it can also educate while just having a very seamless experience for the user.
Obviously, having an idea and a plan and an innovative concept on both sides is one thing. The other thing is when it hits reality. And one idea of this panel is also to share a little bit the good, the bad, the ugly. Is there, Yair, is there something that you can share about what was different than you guys actually thought about the concept, a challenge that you didn't have, let's say, on the horizon that came up?
Yeah, so I think our goal in general is to provide access, right? Like any dApps today are multi-chain, right? They're building on hundreds of available chains, and you know, I believe it's going to go to thousands and 10,000s. And at the end of the day, the dApps journey to set up an infrastructure should be simplified, right? So the core innovation that was with Lava, it's about that anyone who already has a node just jumping in and provide his own infrastructure. But then, how do you allow this engine that gives you the fastest, sometimes cheapest data, how do you allow that to grow exponentially, right? When you think today about REST API, right, this is a standard that is out there. So if you want to think, what's the analogy of Lava, you need to think about kind of becoming the standard RPC for every chain. And the innovation was when we started with dApps to solve them the problems in dozens of chains. So obviously, wallets approach us, DEXs, and so forth. But then we started work closer with Foundation, with the chains themselves, because chains always has a dedicated budget for spinning, for giving to different providers. So those providers are able to, to provide the public RPC, the first entry point for any dApp, any developer for the ecosystem. And instead of, giving different node runners the budget, the foundation recognized Lava as a public good that aggregating all these different providers and incentivizing them to provide service at the end of every month to give away those rewards. So the first thing was the rewards were distributed on a daily basis. And together with the work with you, we realized that the distribution should be monthly. At the end of the day, this is how, in general, SaaS works. So we're bringing SaaS kind of to crypto and blockchain. So the user can join and stake and restake any point of time. However, the providers themselves, when they're looking for the incentives, they are receiving them once a month. And this is something that evolved during the mutual work with you guys.
Thank you for sharing. It's always good to be able to iterate and then to adapt. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Is there a challenge that you would like to share about the Starknet journey and something that you've learned that come around the corner?
I think it would be a good example to look at the challenge of the stake from L1. But before that, I have something like from product perspective where everybody's here, a product manager or even a project manager. So coming this launch, there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of late hours work, even demoing during weekends with staking rewards and others. And we actually, by the first 2 or 3 weeks, we met all of our KPIs for the product. But we just didn't choose the correct KPIs. Like, this is what we learned. The stake was a bit too centralized, and we understood that, we missed something that can go wrong, and this is why we didn't even put a metric to measure it. And this is where I want to say that having versions, coming up with lots of versions and fixes is the way to go. Just launch it as best as you can and learn from it. You'll never understand everything prior to it. It's such an easy thing to say. All the time we want to put more and more features. Don't, just launch it. And our case example would be the L1 stake. So basically we wanted to attract a lot of users from L1. Like I said, in short term, it kind of worked. I thought we have a killer feature. We added just kind of last minute with staking rewards of bridging and staking it all together in the same UI. It didn't accomplish what we thought it would, and we understood better the user after it. We saw it's nice, it's frictionless, it's super fun, but it's too long and there's too many clicks in it, and it's not something any of us thought would be a problem, but it is. So long term, we understood, we need to make this feature better. Like I said, we are working on a version currently that will be just one click from L1, and yeah, it's the meta lesson here is just do more versions.
You're talking about KPIs, which is obviously also in Benedikt's and in our world. I always have this picture of you when we met with you're managing so many different entities across the entire stack, and obviously we are one of those. And in the context of challenges, I remember this one talk when you tested a very early version of the staking integration, and it was horrible. I think Argent didn't connect or something like that. So like in this case, we clearly didn't meet our KPIs. But I wanted to know, like, how was it for you to basically solve all the other problems that are not your core competence, as I laid out in my intro keynote, and having staking rewards basically solving some of those. So, like, was it good except for this one call? And what do you see challenges of working with so many different third-party providers?
So I think the main challenge with working with a lot of integration partners is that you are getting used to be reactive or just a project manager to that extent. So even if you're active, it's sort of just making sure everything is okay and you're not actually steering the ship to that extent. So it's hard to take a lot of integration workload of managing stuff and say, oh, but actually I have more stuff to do, because if I'll just manage the integration, it would not be a good product. I need to initiate and think of where does it go. So I think you have to do both. If I wasn't able to QA staking rewards on this specific session, it would be just not professional. Like they said they have an app, I had to open it up, share screen, and see all of its faults. But that's not good enough. So I think the challenge is telling yourself, okay, there's going to be late hours. Integration is nice, but it's not the end goal. It needs to be the product that users would want to use. So adding to it is the hard part. Telling yourself, oh, there's more to do than just managing tons of different parties.
100%.
It is a good point, because here at the Staking Summit, there are a lot of staking providers, a lot of validators, delegators. And since we talk about building a robust system, we talked about concepts, we talked about launching it. Now, how is the maintenance of this? Would you say, because in staking in the early days, there was the sentence stake and forget, and from the protocol level, would you say we have our validators and it works by itself, or is the day-to-day a little bit more high maintenance than you thought maybe? And let's start with you, Yair.
So, I think in general, the challenging of simplifying the UX, UI, right? It's something that, if I can give a more concrete example, is that imagine that you are a user and you want to, today you understand that you are staking to a specific validator and you see the APR. But then, the way the Lava is built is that there is another provider in a specific chain that, because of the work is doing there, so the APY is 10%, right? And the first validator, let's say it's 2%, and then the other provider is 10%. So at the end of the day, when users stake and then restake, they're asking themselves, just a second, I'm getting the 10%, I'm getting the 2%. And I think this was one of the first things that we did at the beginning and really helped me, helped how to position better to the end user and how to make sure that when a user coming to Staking Rewards platform and he sees, just a second, I'm getting 25% APY, how does it possible? So you really simplify the journey by getting the right tools, but also the presentation of that. So yeah, that's one of the examples that I have.
Yeah, this is also similar to the one-click solution, right? Eventually, we want to educate the user by making it very simple to solving a very complex problem, which is educating those RPC layers under the hood.
And many people want to help the RPC be better. I was hearing someone says a few weeks ago, nobody cares about RPC until they don't work, right? And then you cannot claim rewards, you cannot get the balance of the of your wallet, and so forth. So, but users that are delegators in specific chains, they also want to contribute to the overall efforts of RPC. And if they can restake to a providers they like and receive part of these rewards, that's going to make a win-win for all of us.
Yeah, that makes sense. We have only very little time left, so I want Natan from you. Can you say quickly something about your relations to your partners and the providers after your launch? Was this easy, or is this high maintenance for you?
So staking as a product is an ongoing effort. I don't think there's any tech product that is low maintenance by any chance, because it's not maintenance. It's the fact that you presented looping right now is like, oh my God, I need looping in my chain. I need like everything that is new in the ecosystem, or even you want to be this new guy or the novel person to introduce to your chain. So So staking is a whole sector of things, and I don't think it's maintenance. But around the community, the ecosystem, I'm surprised to say that it wasn't that much maintenance. We have a scheduled like quarterly validators talk. We get feedback. We're introducing new versions. But I think it's reputable teams that know what they're doing and experienced. I'm coming to the staking rather late, few years after it's kind of known how to do it in a lot of sense. So I'm just trying to learn from all the lessons of other chains in managing this community in this ecosystem. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. We have maybe in the last minute, you could each share what is next for you in the near-term future of staking, something that you're excited about that you would like to share with all of us. Yair, let's start with you.
Yeah, so tomorrow we have, I have a keynote here, and there is a big announcement coming from the Lava Foundation about how to coordinate better those incentives that I was mentioning before. Basically, I personally always look at the metrics and the trends. So we see that we have a growth of 150% in the dApps users, millions of transactions every day, and also the APR, it grew, it increased, I think by 35%. So yeah, those are really exciting points for us.
Yeah. Congrats and thank you.
Yeah, so Bitcoin staking is coming to Starknet. This is what the keynote I gave you earlier. If you are interested in Bitcoin staking, it's coming in a few months. Reach out.
All right, then everybody give it up for the robust ecosystem staking. Thank you.